Good evening, everyone, and let me call this chamber to order. Will everyone please rise if you can. Let us pledge the flag and the United States of America, and then remain in your place for a moment of personal reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Township Clerk, please call roll and read our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall. Here. Councilman Wendell. Absent. Councilwoman Winston.
Here.
Councilwoman Zembicki.
Here.
And Council President McAvoy.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen.
Here.
Administrator Joseph Criscuolo.
Here.
And Township Attorney Anthony Iacoca.
Here.
Also present is our Deputy Clerk, Lauren Morris. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and the Asbury Park Press newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. Council, you have Resolution 25-202 before you regarding adopting the meeting minutes from our May 29th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion to accept?
Motion to adopt.
And a second?
Second.
Is there a need to amend or correct these minutes? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zembicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes. We have one proclamation for June 2025, the LGBTQ Pride Month. Councilwoman Zembicki, will you attend to this matter?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Whereas the Mayor and the Council of the Township of East Brunswick welcomes and encourages diversity and inclusion within our community, and whereas celebrating Pride Month raises awareness and provides support and advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community and is an opportunity to become educated, engaged in dialogue, strengthened alliances, and building understanding. Whereas there has been remarkable progress towards the acceptance and equality for members of the LGBTQ+ community and however, they continue to face discrimination, intolerance, and hate. And whereas we must commit to supporting and accepting LGBTQ+ individuals, in particular our youth, who are compared to their peers, are far more likely to experience violence and bullying at school, to suffer from depression, to struggle with substance abuse, and to have attempted suicide. And whereas we must remain vigilant in deterring oppression and discrimination against people of the basis of sex, gender identity, or expression or sexual orientation. And whereas by protecting the rights of every individual, we enhance and strengthen the value of everyone throughout our entire society. And whereas we affirm our support for LGBTQ+ residents in our community and stand with them to protect their civil rights and their ability to live openly, equally, without fear, and now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and the Council of the Township of East Brunswick on this 9th day of June 2025, that the Council recognizes and supports the month of June 2025 as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning, and plus Pride Month. And we encourage all our residents to celebrate and build a culture of inclusiveness and acceptance during this month and every month. Given under my hand in the Great Seal of the Township of East Brunswick on this 9th day in June 2025, Mayor Brad J. Cohen. And I also would like to invite all of our community members to join us on May 20th from 4 to 8 at Crystal Springs for I believe it's our fourth now, annual Pride celebration within East Brunswick. It's always a great event. There's lots of support with different vendors that set up little booths to get more information, and certainly promotes inclusivity in our community. So thank you.
Any council comments? Thank you, Councilwoman Zambicki. There are no ordinances for a second reading or public hearing this evening. Therefore, let us move on to our, am I good? Am I good? Yeah. Reports section of the meeting. And we'll begin with our mayor, Mayor Cohn.
Thank you, Council President. Last week, we had the East Brunswick Arts Coalition sponsored a program over at the Community Arts Center called Murder on the Dance Floor. It was a fundraiser that was used to help the ongoing fund for expansion of the Community Arts Center. Each year they come up with a different theme. There was the Queen's Ball the first theme, the Masquerade Ball the year before that. So it really was entertaining and fun because we all got to participate. And so kudos to the East Brunswick Arts Coalition for helping in that worthy cause. Also, last weekend, we had the fishing derby a couple days ago over at Dallenbach's Park. Again, that's always a fun thing to see the kids come out and fish, to get so excited every time they catch something. And it gave them a chance to get outside and to enjoy our park system that I've highlighted here in the township. So I think that was also wonderful. You have in your packet tonight and on the among the resolutions this evening, one to bring in Black Bear, which is a company that owns about 45 ice rinks in the region of New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and I think even, I don't think it's New York, but I think they may actually even be in Connecticut. But they own and operate and have lots of different leagues that they will be bringing to be a prime renter here in the township for residents to know they will not be able to get first dibs on time slots. That goes to the residents themselves. So things such as our programs for Learn to Skate and programs such as the high school hockey team, which will get to use that ice as their home ice, since clearly it's our own residents that paid for that. A lot of our early Learn to Skate programs and open skate programs, those will be obviously areas where the town would have the first rights to those time slots. Any time that the town isn't using slots, that's what would be made available to Black Bear. As you can read, it's a 5-year contract. Many people were doubting whether or not the enterprise would be something that we could sustain or be able to make money on. And like most new enterprises, they tend to have a period of time where they ramp up, and it is not uncommon for them to lose a little money. Most businesses often take time to get off the ground. Our own example would be Crystal Springs, which many years ago was the same story. It was a big investment on the part of the township for something that township residents got primary use of, and it took a little time, but it did ultimately in time become a profitable entity and one that we're proud of today. The good news about Black Bear coming in is that the financials on the money that we would expect to get from that, plus the programs that we expect to operate ourselves, when you look at it from a very, very early P&L standpoint, make it very likely that we would be able to at least break even in the beginning, maybe even turn a small profit. So this is a massive contract that I hope you will endorse this evening. Getting tournaments to come into a township is a very difficult thing. You almost have to be a key player in the industry in order to get into tournaments. Places like USA Hockey, Black Bear, they're large enough to get into that. Starting out a program on your own with limited number of teams virtually makes it impossible for you to get into these tournaments, which ultimately bring people into the town, use of our hotels, our restaurants. It's an economic driver to the township. And none of that would be possible if we did this on our own and expected to grow the program on our own. It would take probably a decade before we could even get to something like that. So this is a big deal. So I hope that you'll look favorably on that tonight. And then finally, we did get an estimate from the county Board of Taxation indicating what the tax rates they expect will be for the next year, the tax bills that would ordinarily go out sometime in August. The numbers, despite all the whining about the schools, actually shows that the expected increase for the school budget is about 3.3%. The expected increase for the county portion of your taxes is about 3.6%. And as promised, and in continuation now for the 9th year in a row, township municipal taxes are under 1%, 0.98% increase, which is very nominal compared to the others. Normally, what we would do at this point is we send out bills once we get a actual certificate and from the Board of Taxation from the county. Without that, we issue estimated bills for the one that would go out in August. If the county is able to get us a actual certification relatively soon, we will not do an estimate, we'll send out the actual bill. If we don't get the formal certificate, then we send an estimated bill, and then it will be trued up on your fourth quarter payment for the year when the final bills do go out. Every year when we do estimates, we try to guesstimate from the numbers we've been given from the county a number that's reasonable so that your fourth quarter isn't dramatically higher or lower than what we would expect. Sometimes we're off with that, but most times we're pretty close. So that's the plan going forward. If it's an estimate, it's going to be pretty close to the right number. If we're able to get our certificate from the county, then you will get your regular bill in August. So that's my report. Thank you, Council President.
That was exciting. No, because I was not on board with the mayor when the initial plans were being talked about with regard to a hockey arena. For what reasons, there's no need to review that right now. But as the mayor has so carefully demonstrated to the community, we have these professionals, this Black Bear group coming in to sort of run the show, because we really don't have run the showers with regard to a hockey arena. And I'm not going to belabor the point here, because you get what I'm talking about. The one thing I hope happens is Rutgers, men and women's hockey. And hopefully Black Bear is able to attract them. Can you imagine on a Thursday night getting in your car and driving over to a Big Ten matchup between the University of Minnesota and Rutgers in hockey? I'm not a hockey fan, but it's turning me on, you know. So thank you for that report. And yes, we've looked at it, we've reviewed the material, and we'll vote on it this evening. Councilwoman Winston?
I just want to add, especially for people in the community who are for lack of a better word, anxious about the public availability with respect to the hockey rink. The hours here that are open to the public are plentiful, and they're on great nights. Friday evenings, Saturday evenings are dedicated to public skate, and it's open to the public. I think that's wonderful.
Thanks.
Mr. Crisculo, our business administrator.
Just one item for this evening. As you recall, we did another round of for professional services for water meter replacement. So we're going to begin with sending out letters very shortly to the 4,000 or so residents that haven't gotten their meter replaced as of yet. This letter is going to come from the township. And yes, the people that haven't done it, you have to get it done. At this particular time, the company Meter Tech, you could schedule it through them at an 800 number or through a website. They come to your house, and within a half hour, they'll change the meter and the readers. A lot of the 4,000 people or so that are left are still getting a lot of estimated bills. It's then causing our staff to do a lot more work and so on. So this basically is going to be kind of like your last chance to get it done without incurring additional charges. So I encourage people that get the letters to expedite the replacement of the meters. As my friend Dan would say, we don't want to overbill, we don't want to underbill, we want a correct bill. And this is for the amount of water that you use in your home. So if it's an estimated bill, your meter in the basement is still picking up the amount of water that you utilize. So we'd like to get you a correct bill. It's an easy process. They'll come in, they'll replace it, and we'll be good to go. So I appreciate the residents, if you do receive a letter, to kindly schedule an appointment to have them come replace the meter. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Our Township Attorney, Mr. Iacocca.
Thank you, Council President. There's nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Our Township Clerk, Ms. Lawful.
Just a quick report on our upcoming 2025 primary election, which will be on Tuesday, tomorrow, June 10th. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. For those who did not get an opportunity to vote during early voting, which the last day of early voting was on Sunday, the last day to vote for this coming 2025 primary election will be tomorrow. For those who are not able to vote in person and have requested a mail-in ballot, and you're in receipt of your mail-in ballot, as a friendly reminder, there are 3 ways to return your ballot, and the last day to do so is tomorrow. You can use the U.S. Postal Service at no cost to you whatsoever. Please note that your mail-in ballot must be post-dated June 10th for it to count. You can also drop it off at the Board of Elections located at 26B Kennedy Boulevard here in East Brunswick, or conveniently utilize our ballot drop box located within our municipal complex by our municipal court and our police station parking lot. I do encourage everyone to go out and vote, and that is all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Voting, it still just resonates so deeply with this relatively old guy up here on the dais. But the one thing that I'm not going to miss is the cardboard flyers. Oh my goodness. I must have at least somewhere between 20 and 30 different flyers from the various candidates who were running for the Democratic and Republican side of the gubernatorial race. Council, any member, any committee or board reports?
Great.
Please.
Yep, thank you. And before I go on, but I want to reiterate what Councilwoman Winston said about the contract with the ice skating rink, because it's not only for the public skate, but the other thing that I was looking for is to make sure that our own hockey team had plenty of practice time, and they have that designated time right after school, which is exactly what we need, and then designated time for all of their games. So that was great. So quick report.
Take your time.
Yep. Just registration is now closed for summer camp. It has been a record-breaking year for summer camp. So that's wonderful, and looking forward to a successful year this summer. Crystal Springs is officially open on weekends. We haven't had the greatest weather on the weekends. This weekend, I think, was actually their first day open due to the cold weather, but they're also open on Friday nights for night swim, and it opens 7 days a week as soon at that weekend that school is out. Also, there is a tri-lacrosse event. It is for the girls. It's a K-8 clinic on June 17th from 6:30 to 7:30 on Field B at Heavenly Farms. And on June 23rd, there's a community birthday celebration right here outside in the municipal courtyard, which Mr. Ray will be playing. And last, save the date for the Township's 3rd annual Winter Wonderland, which is December 6th. There are sponsorships available, so if anybody's interested in sponsoring the event, that would be amazing. And hope to see everybody on the 20th for our Pride at the Pool event from 4 to 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Zambicki. can now move on to our public portion of our meeting. So, Ms. Lawful, please read our public comment statement.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond or not respond.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the audience who would wish to address the council president, please?
Hi, my name is Vivian Liu. I live at 4 Dallenbach Lane, East Brunswick. So I know that East Brunswick is a town that prides itself on its community, its safety, and its diverse wildlife, which is why it is so baffling to me that when it comes to feral cats, the town has shown very little proactivity, except for maybe when it comes to changing the township's website. So I noticed a feral cat on my back patio a little bit over a week ago. I noticed that it was injured a few days ago, and when I called the township asking what I should do about it, I was told that to trap it. Because time was of the essence, I got to work right away. I trapped the animal, and when I called the township back and was told that animal control would pick them up, when I called back that evening, I was told instead that because I had fed the cat, it was now technically my cat, and animal control would no longer assume control of him. So a huge part of trapping a cat is to feed it. You need to get it comfortable with your property so that it can learn to come onto your property, and it will go into any trap you set up for it. Asking me as a private resident to trap the cat is already an inappropriate demand from animal control, but asking me as a private resident to handle a wounded wild animal is where this incident crosses the line into possible liability, especially through something which I consider a frankly duplicitous loophole in your policy. So there have already been 2 rabid animal attacks in Middlesex County. There was one that was a rabid cat a little bit over 2 months ago. Upon hearing reports of a wounded stray cat, it is a wonder to me why animal control did not jump in immediately to help alleviate that problem. It's a wonder to me why animal control didn't jump in to remove that animal from the streets. Is it only a problem if an actual family pet is attacked? Is it only a problem if a person is attacked? The lack of action from the township and animal control puts the community at risk and leaves residents vulnerable to all the threats on the other side of that door that you have left, frankly, wide open. Every cat on the street is a vector for ticks, fleas, feline immunodeficiency virus, feline leukemia, and rabies, just to name a few of the pathogens that they can carry. Cats can have multiple litters in a year, compounding on an already exploding stray and feral cat problem in America. When animal control was called on to stop this town from falling victim to this issue, they responded by changing their website the day after the request to make it so that stray and feral cats were explicitly not animal control's problem. Instead of providing a solution or even a suitable explanation for why this was done, animal control decided to turn its back, cover its ears, and act like stray cats are not under their jurisdiction. And the heartbreaking thing is that there is a very simple solution, which is trap, neuter, and release, also known as TNR. During the TNR process, cats are always, always, always vaccinated for rabies, which really curtails this problem before it becomes a solution, before it becomes a real issue. A TNR ordinance would allow us to preserve the life of the cat and also allow us to allow our communities to thrive alongside them. It's cost effective, it's efficient, it's humane, and most importantly, it is so, so, so easy. Like, trust me, as someone who's done it, trapping a cat is a lot easier than you think, as long as you feed it. So thanks to TNR, to East Brunswick TNR and Rescue, this cat that I trapped is going to get the help that it needs, but only because I am fortunate enough that I can cover the medical costs that it had to undergo. Other cats in other neighborhoods will not be this lucky because East Brunswick TNR cannot shoulder the burden of every sick and injured feral and stray cat. There is a gap in helping our communities that animal control is actively hollowing out further. If East Brunswick truly wants to be the center of Middlesex County or the heart of Middlesex County, as we so proudly display on our state seal, on our town seal, then there is something very rotten at the core of it. And I'm not here to villainize anyone. I am sure that animal control has valid reasons for taking the actions that it did. I am just here to state that we all have a common goal, hopefully, which is to keep stray and feral cat problems from spiraling out of control. And losing more of our wildlife, or God forbid, even a household pet to this problem.
And Ms. Liu, the 5 minutes is up. Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions?
There are no questions. Your time has expired. Anyone else wish to address the council president? Please.
My name is Henna, Main Street, Mason Avenue, Old Stage. I'm sure you've all seen the events that unfolded in Los Angeles this weekend and late last week. The city of Glendale has since issued this following statement. After careful consideration, the city of Glendale has decided to end its agreement with U.S. Homeland Security, ICE, to house federal immigration detainees. This local decision reflects our core values: public safety, transparency, and community trust. The Glendale Police Department does not enforce immigration laws and remains fully compliant with SB 454. Our focus remains on serving Glendale residents and businesses while preserving it as one of the safest cities in the nation. I encourage my township council to take the same stance and stand up against the cruelty unfolding once again with our tax dollars in our cities. No one is illegal on stolen land. While we could be funding health care, higher education for all, using technology to better the state of society, we are instead funding violence on communities who make the very foundations of our society. Let's not be mistaken. The state-sanctioned violence we are now seeing in our cities is the same violence that has been perpetrated on Palestinians in Gaza for the past 20 months. Inevitably, violence funded by our tax dollars anywhere in the world will find its way back to our country. Let's also be clear. Poverty is violence because it is state-sanctioned. Denying health care is violence. Polluting your air and your water is state-sanctioned violence. Why citizens of the United States fight for basic human rights while our taxes are being used to kill humans around the world? The council fights so hard against things like affordable housing units, but isn't housing also a right for everyone? I know that as a taxpayer who pays hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, I would rather my taxes fund someone's house than fund someone's displacement or unaliving. In short, all of our struggles are interconnected, and 20 months into a live-stream genocide caused by our tax dollars, it behooves this council to break sister city ties with a city that is in a state that is currently committing genocide, and it behooves this council to stand up for its citizens rather than the corporations that will profit off of our dehumanization. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address, please?
Nawal Tufel, Tall Oaks Drive, East Brunswick. I don't have any speech today because there's nothing new that's happening. I'm just here again to request this council to consider and break the sister city ties with the city of Yamne. We have this agreement very proudly displayed outside the city council, which is truly disgrace at this point. I do want to basically call out, so nothing changed from last city council meeting. Israel is still burning children in tents by bombing them. Israel is still starving children, not letting even baby formula in. We have so many children who died out of starvation, and anyone who is a parent on the city council can only imagine the pain of the parent whose children are starved to death. And that's what Israel is doing. Starving, burning, and then they're sniping children. There are multiple doctors who are volunteering from US and UK and Canada and other countries who have given testimony in the United Nations that there are snipers who snipe children's kneecap to basically disable them. And then they say they have like multiple gunshots to their head. Snipers. So it's not even like an indiscriminate bombing. Israeli snipers do that purposely. I also want to call out there are multiple organizations that have called out Israel is committing a genocide. So I want to name those organizations today to put this on record. United Nations, UN Human Rights Council, UN House for the Coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs, UN Special Rapporteurs, International Criminal Court, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch. They all said Israel is committing genocide. International Committee of the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, B'Tselem, which is basically Israeli Human Rights Organization. Funny enough, Al-Haq, which is Palestinian Human Rights Organization, Adamir, Breaking the Silence, which is Israeli veterans exposing military abuse. Then Defense for Children International, Palestinian, World Health Organization, Save the Children, Norwegian Refugee Council, Oxfam. I'm sure most of you are familiar. I'm so sorry if it's funny for some people to smile. I don't know. Maybe it is, right? Because these children are not white, so I understand. International Federation for Human Rights, Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor, the Carter Center, Christian Aid, War on Want, Lawyers for Palestinian Human Rights, Public Committee Against Torture in Israel, UNICEF, Reporters Without Borders, South African Human Rights Commission, and Jewish Voice for Peace, which is a very local organization. They have all called out that Israel is committing a genocide, and I disagree. Israel is committing a Holocaust. They have every definition, every tick mark is there. So why do we still have this agreement with the city? Honestly, like, at what point you will, this council cannot say that they did not know after 10 years that, oh, we did not know, because this thing will come out. And Israel will become a pariah state, just like Nazi Germany. They have to. They have done it in broad light, and they have broadcasted their war crimes. So please do the right thing while you still have time. After thousands of lives lost, you still have time to do the right thing. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the council president? Gentleman in the back.
Tom Ingrasani, Deerfield Road. Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. President. As I know, they're going to raise the electric rates by 16% this month. I read an article where the governor is going to give every resident $100 towards the electric bills. Is that every month, or is it just a 1 month, or is it going to be continuous? Because how are you going to get it? That's the other thing. So, do you know anything about it?
I don't have an answer for you, Mr.
Excuse me?
I do not have an answer for you.
Okay, but I heard that on the...
I heard it too, but
okay.
I don't have an answer as to where, when, and how.
Just want to know how it would come to us if it does come. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I live on Deerfield Road. When you come all the way down, there's a big curve in the road where my house is. Sometimes people coming from the opposite direction, right on the other side of the road, and the other one coming this way. It was almost an accident the other day. I wonder any possibility, at least a line could be put down so these people are aware that it's not a one-way street, if possible.
Make a phone call to the police department.
Excuse me?
Make a phone call to the police department.
Oh, okay.
And they will direct you to public safety, and you can talk with them about your
I know I have an autistic sign there for my grandson, but people just come around that turn, and it could be a head-on collision. I almost saw it the other day, it's just terrible. And the other thing, today I heard with the lockdown in Central School, my granddaughter goes there. I was a little worried, but thank God it was just a false alarm. But heard everybody did great there, and commendation to the police department. And,
Exactly.
all right, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ingrasini.
All right.
Anyone else with regard to addressing Council President?
Good evening, everyone. Rabbi Eric Eisenkramer for Alpine Court, East Brunswick. I want to wish greetings to the Mr. Mayor and the Town Council and Council President, and provide an update on the Jewish community in our township and in our world. In the Jewish community, we are mourning the loss of Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lischinski. They were killed outside the D.C., as I'm sure all aware, the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. They were killed out of an act of hatred, anti-Semitism, and violence. Sarah Milgram was 25, I believe, was about to be engaged, and is no longer in this world. Sarah Milgram was also the niece of our emeritus rabbi at the temple, Rabbi Eric Milgram. We have worked very hard to support Rabbi Milgram and his family at this very difficult time. In addition to this attack, there was a terrible attack that took place in Boulder, Colorado, in which innocent people protesting and in support of the hostages were attacked and burned with makeshift Molotov cocktails and seriously injured. Innocent people being attacked. Anti-Semitism and threats against Jews in the United States are at all-time highs. And the words that we speak matter. When we call the war in Gaza a genocide, it puts a target on the back of every Jew in America. It leads to attacks on Jews, including the murder of Sarah and Yaron and the attack in Boulder. Israel is not committing a genocide. Israel seeks peace. If Hamas will surrender and return the hostages, the war will end. But rhetoric that inflames and is false can lead people to take terrible and violent actions. We must watch what we say so that there is no further violence. I'm grateful to the Town Council and the Mayor and the East Brunswick Police for all you do to protect all the members of our community. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the Council President? Gentleman in the back.
Good evening. My name is Tarek Bremer.
Say that again, please, sir.
My name is Tarek Bremer, and I live at 19 4th Street in East Brunswick. I wasn't going to come up here and speak, but other than what I want to say is there is anti-Semitism in this world. There's also Islamophobia going on in this world, and there's also a lot of unjust killing going on in this world. And, you know, one evil act does not make another equally evil act acceptable. And so I can stand here and say anything about whatever I feel, but we can also look at what's going on in the world and can just see what's going on without having to describe it to you. I mean, you all look on the news to see what's going on, and all I just want to say to you is that you don't have to believe anyone that comes up here and speaks to you about what's going on. All of you know about what you see and what you view, and all you have to do is just, you know, open up your eyes and your minds and accept whatever it is that you believe. So, yeah. So, I have come here before to ask for this town council to consider a resolution for a ceasefire, and I still would like to respectfully ask for your consideration. I think it is not too late. I think, unfortunately, the way things are going on in this world, we are in a worse place than we were probably a year ago, But it's never too late to act in any way that we can, whether that is just being vocal to our representatives, representatives in Congress, our local representatives, communicating to them to let them know of how we feel, and even the town council themselves to communicate how it feels about how this country is directly supporting whatever you want to call it. It's supporting the killing of innocent civilians. You can call that a genocide. You can call it ethnic cleansing. You can call it whatever it is. I'm not here to argue about what we're calling it here. It is a fact that innocent people are being killed. And unfortunately, we are directly responsible for this. But it's not too late. We can at least try to say that we don't accept this and we don't want to support this. So that's all I wanted to say. And just before concluding, there's no room for anti-Semitism. There's no room for Islamophobia. There's no room for any hate. And there's no room for any injustice anywhere in this world. And so when someone calls out, when someone speaks about atrocities that occur on one side, it doesn't mean that they're speaking out for hatred for any other specific group. All they're doing is calling out the truth for whatever they're seeing that is happening in this world. So, thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to address the council president? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Let's see. Township clerk, could you please read our consent agenda statement?
Resolution 25-203 through Resolution 25-216. The following items are considered routine and non-controversial items by the Township Council and will be enacted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda to be discussed and voted on, following the approval of the remaining items listed on the consent agenda.
May I have a motion for passage of this resolution?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Council, do you need any portion of the resolution to be separated? We had an earlier clarification on the hockey arena from the mayor, so that was my, not a separation, but a comment being made. Anything? Okay, why don't we then take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicky?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes, and we do not have any ordinances for introduction, therefore, for the good of the cause. Quiet, huh? Those in favor of adjournment, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Good night, everyone.